Good morning, everyone. My name is Nitin, and I am going to present my topic on Codex Alimentarius Commission. So, coming on to the introduction, what is Codex Alimentarius? Basically, Codex Alimentarius is a collection of internationally recognized food standards, guidelines, and codes of practice established by the World Health Organization and Food and Agriculture Organization. Codex Alimentarius was created in the year 1963 by the World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization. The purpose of Codex is to protect the health of consumer, ensure fair practices in the food trade, and promote coordination of food standards across the world. Coming on to the objectives of the Codex Alimentarius, first is it protects the health of a consumer by ensuring that the food is safe and wholesome, facilitate fair practices in food trades by establishing international food standards to promote consistency and transparency. Second, it promotes the coordination of the food standards among countries to ensure consistency and avoid trade barriers. Third, it promotes consumer protection by ensuring that the food is properly labeled and that the consumer have access to accurate and relevant information about the food they buy. It also promotes the sustainable use of resources in the food sector, including the use of appropriate technologies and practices to reduce waste and conserve resources. Coming on to the Codex committees, there are currently 27 Codex committees and one ad hoc intergovernmental task force. Each are responsible for developing and reviewing standards and guidelines related to a specific area of food safety and quality. These committees and task forces plays an important role in development of international food standards and guidelines, which helps to ensure the safety and quality of the food we eat. So coming on to the brief overview of some Codex committees, first comes the Codex Committee of Food Additives. So it develops guidelines and standards for food additives, including provisions for the use of food additives and provisions for food additives that have not been assigned an acceptable daily intake or acceptable level of use. Second comes the Codex Committee for Food Hygiene. This committee develops guidelines and codes of practices related to food hygiene, including the control of microbial, chemical, and physical hazard in food, as well as principles and guidelines for the establishment and application of food hygiene standards. Third is Codex Committee of Food Labeling. This committee develops guidelines and standards related to food labeling, including the labeling of food additives, nutritional information, allergen labeling, and claims made on the food labels. Fourth is Codex Committee on Food Import and Export Inspection and Certification System. It develops guidelines and standards for food import and export inspection and certification system to facilitate the international trade of safe food. Fifth one is Codex Committee on Contaminants in Food. This committee develops guidelines and standards for contaminants in food, including maximum level of contaminants such as heavy metals, mycotoxin, and pesticides in food. Coming on to the characteristics of Codex standards. First, science-based. Codex standards are developed based on scientific risk assessment with the aim of protecting public health while also facilitating international trade. Second, it is voluntary. Codex standards are voluntary and are not legally binding, but they are widely used as a references by many countries when developing their nation's food safety and quality standards. Third, it is comprehensive. Codex standards covers a wide range of food safety and quality issues, including food labeling, food additives, contaminants, pesticides residue, veterinary drug residues, and hygiene. Fourth is it is harmonizing. Codex standards aims to harmonize food safety and quality standards across the globe, reducing trade barriers and facilitating the international trade of safe food. Fifth is dynamic. It is very dynamic. Codex standards are regularly reviewed and updated to reflect new scientific information and emerging food safety issues. Now coming on to the Codex guidelines and codes of practices. So by providing guidance on the best practices for ensuring the safety and quality of food, Codex guidelines and codes of practices helps to promote public health, facilitate international trade, and ensure the integrity of global food supply. There are basically 4 to 5 guidelines. So first is Codex guidelines on nutrition labeling. These guidelines provide guidance on the nutritional information that should be provided on food labels, including the format and content of nutrition labels. Second is Codex Code of Hygienic Practice for fresh fruit and vegetable. This code provides guidance on the hygienic production, harvesting, and labeling of fresh fruits and vegetables with the aim of reducing the risk of contamination by pathogens. Third is Codex guidelines on food allergen management for food business operators. Basically, these guidelines provide guidance to food businesses on best practices for managing the risk of allergic contamination in food. Fourth one is Codex guidelines on the application of general principles of food hygiene to the control of foodborne parasites. These guidelines provide guidance on how to control the risk of foodborne parasites, including the identification of hazards, the development of control measures, and the implementation of monitoring and verifying programs. Now, coming on to the importance of Codex standards. First, protecting public health. Codex standards are developed based on scientific risk assessments with the aim of protecting public health by ensuring that food is safe to eat and free from harmful contaminants. Second importance is facilitating international trade. By harmonizing food safety and quality standards across the globe, Codex standards helps to reduce trade barriers and facilitate the international trade of safe food. Third importance is promoting fair trade practices. Codex standards helps to promote fair trade practices by ensuring that all countries have access to the same information and standard when it comes to the food safety and quality. Fourth importance is providing guidance to governments and food businesses. So Codex standards, guidelines and codes of practices provide guidance to government and food businesses on best practices for ensuring the safety and quality of food, helping to prevent foodborne illness and ensuring the integrity of food supply. Now coming on to the what are the benefits of Codex Alimentarius. First, protection of public health. Codex standards, guidelines and codes of practices are developed based on scientific risk assessment with the aim of ensuring that food is safe to eat and free from harmful contaminants, thus protecting public health. Second, facilitation of international trade. Codex standards harmonize food safety and quality standards worldwide, facilitating the international trade of safe food and reducing trade barriers. Third is promotion of fair trade practices. Codex standards promote fair trade practices by ensuring that all countries have access to the same information and standard when it comes to food safety and quality, thus promoting equal opportunities to all. Fourth one is guidance to governments and food businesses. Codex standards, guidelines, and codes of practices provide guidance to government and food businesses on best practices for ensuring the safety and quality of food, helping to prevent foodborne illnesses, ensuring the integrity of the food supply. Now, coming on to the next slide, what are the achievements of Codex Alimentarius? First achievement is development of over 200 food safety and quality standards. The Codex Alimentarius Commission has developed over 200 standards related to food safety and quality, covering everything from food additives to pesticide residues to microbial contamination. Second achievement is felicitation of international trade. The harmonization of food safety and quality standards across the globe has facilitated international trade and reduced trade barriers, benefiting both producers and consumers. Third, improved access to safe and nutritious food. The Commission has played an important role in developing standards and guidelines that promote safe and nutritious food, particularly in developing countries. Fourth one is contribution to international cooperation. The Codex Alimentarius Commission has served as a platform for international cooperation and collaboration among governments, food businesses, and other stakeholders in the pursuit of common goals related to food safety and quality. Now, coming on to the challenges of Codex Alimentarius, first is limited participation by developing countries. The Commission's work is often dominated by developed countries, which can limit the participation and influence of developing countries in the decision-making process. Second is limited resources. The Commission reviews on voluntary contribution from member countries, which can limit its ability to undertake new initiatives or response to emerging food safety issues. Third is rapidly changing food production and distribution system. The global food system is constantly evolving with new technologies and production methods emerging rapidly. The Commission must stay abreast of these changes and respond quickly to new food safety and challenges. Fourth is divergent national and regional regulations. Difference in national and regional regulation can create challenges for harmonizing food safety and quality standards, which leads to trade barriers and other challenges. Next come to what is the role of Codex in food safety. So Codex standards are based for national food safety regulations. It provides guidance on good practices for food safety, conduct risk assessment, and provide scientific advice on food safety issues. Next come to what is the role of Codex and nutrition. It provides guidance on nutrient content in food labeling, develops standards for food fortification, addresses nutrition labeling and claims. Next come what is the role of Codex and food trade. Basically, it first facilitates international trade of food and quality food, develops standards and guidelines to prevent non-tariff barriers, provide a common language for food standards. What are the emerging issues of Codex? Codex responds to emerging issues such as food fraud, antimicrobial resistance, and biotechnologies. Second, it provides guidance on good practices for emerging issues. Third, it conducts risk assessments and provides scientific advice on emerging issues. Next come Codex and sustainability. So first in this slide, so first it develops standards and guidelines to promote sustainable food production and consumption, addresses environmental and social aspects, promotes the responsible use of resources in food production and processing. Next comes the what is the role of Codex in consumer participation. First, it encourages consumer participation in Codex activities. Second, it provides opportunities for consumer input through public consultation and participation in Codex community. Third, it promotes transparency and openness in Codex decision-making process.